It's Self-Indulgence Day here on the Wednesday Word of the Week. I'm going to indulge in a couple of words that I just find mind-blowing. They're in Mark chapter 2. We're going to pick up specifically at verse 4, but let me just set the stage. Jesus and his disciples returned to Capernaum. We're told that when they arrived, they sort of set up shop in a house. Some people argue that it was probably Peter's house, but we don't know that for certain. And word spreads and crowds gather around the house because Jesus has set up residence there at the house. There are so many people that we're told you can't fit any more people inside, and the crowd out at the door trying to hear what he says is so great that you can't even approach the door to get close enough to hear. And with that as the backdrop, we're told that 4 men bring a paralytic, a man who cannot walk, on a litter or on a, it's called a bed, but it's more of like a litter that you would carry someone around who can't move on their own. And they bring him to the house where Jesus is. And that's where we get this magnificence of verse 4. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him being Jesus, and when they had made an opening, they let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. So let's get right to the part that I love, this tremendous little phrase, apostegason tein stegein. Apostegason tein stegein. They unroofed the roof. So apostegason is an aorist from apostegazo, which is I remove the covering. So stegazo is I cover, apostegazo from cover, I remove the covering. So we know that they uncovered something. They removed a covering. What did they uncover? We're told they uncovered tein stegein. They uncovered the covering. Well, what's the covering of a house? The covering of a house is the roof. And here we have, in a Middle East setting in Capernaum, in a village, we would have flat-roofed houses. They used those roofs in a utilitarian way. They treated them more like a patio. When it was hot, they might sleep out there at night. There's a flat roof that's made of clay and straw and wood on top of the wooden structure of the house, and then they would put thin, flat stone paving on top so that they wouldn't walk through, they wouldn't damage the roof. They would pave it with flat stone. So here we have this magnificent phrase, apostegason tein stegein. They unroofed the roof, they uncovered the covering, they pried up the flat stone pavers that were the top surface of the roof, which brings us to the next tremendous word that we're looking at today. It just only gets better, and that word is exoruxantes. Exoruxantes. Anytime you see ek or ex, the prefix ek or ex is out of or from. Out of, or from. And it comes from exoruso, and I'm going to warn you right now, this gets a little graphic. Okay, so the basic translation of exoruxantes is after they dug out. So first we're told they unroofed the roof, they pried up the flat stones, and then after they dug out, they lowered the man down through the hole in the roof in front of Jesus on his bed, on his litter. So here's the part where it gets graphic. From exoruso. Extra biblical use of this word outside the New Testament is commonly used to describe the removal of an eye, the gouging out of an eye. That's pretty gross, it's pretty extreme, I know, but I want you to think about it for a moment. If you remove an eye by gouging it out, you leave an empty hole, you leave the socket from whence the eye came. So let's go back to the roof. They unroofed the roof, they pried up the stones, and then we're told that after gouging out an opening in the roof, after they took out what was there, if they scooped out the clay and the straw and the wood, leaving a gaping wound in the roof, an open hole that's big enough to fit a human through. They then lowered him down on that bed in front of Jesus. So I want you to think about that for a second, this combination of great, vivid terminology. These four guys are so convinced, they're so certain that there's value to getting their friend, the paralytic, into the presence of Jesus, that they go to someone else's house, perhaps Peter, who's not known as a soft and gentle soul, whoever's house it is though, they go up on top of the roof because there's too big of a crowd to get to the door, to get inside. They pry up the paving stones. They gouge their way through the straw and the clay and the wood until there's a big enough hole to lower a human through, and then they lower him down into the presence of Jesus. Talk about vivid, talk about powerful imagery. Now, if you really want to have a great time, you don't want to miss reading verses 5 through 12 in Mark chapter 2. Specifically, at minimum, you've got to go check out the first clause, the beginning of verse 5, and look at what it says about Jesus and his reaction to this wild, unruly, disruptive activity of the four men who brought their friend. You don't want to miss it. Pay close attention to that. It's a real barn burner, and if it's not a barn burner, it's at bare minimum a roofy-roofer. Thanks for tuning in to the Wednesday Word of the Week. I look forward to seeing you again next time, and until then, Charis Kai Rene Humine. Grace and peace to you.